As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. I was born into freedom in a wonderful land of mountains and plains, rivers and lakes. Forever American is what I am. A past as rich as any can be. My father's worked hard to give this to me. I love this place I come from. To live another way I cannot foresee. As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. As an American, I've been to the peaks of majestic mountains where the air is sweet. I've watched the eagle as it soars in beautiful skies that just can't be ignored. And by this country I'll always stand, for freedom and liberty for every man. When times are hard and things get rough, America always stands ready and rough. As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. Forever American is what I am.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening. Hopefully you guys can all hear me and everybody's doing okay this evening. No sound. How is there no sound? Can you hear me? My sound's going out just fine. Maybe her volume's down. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I'm checking right now to make sure there is sound coming through. Yep. Sounds kind of weird tonight, but I don't know why, but I'll figure that out in a little bit. How you doing, Josie, Deputy, Nana, Rodney, Tia, Pam, Faye? You're muted. Hello. Yep. Okay. Everybody can hear me. All right. That's good. Hit the share button if you're in here. Thank you guys for joining us. Oh, today's been a busy day. Grandpa's in the hospital. He has pneumonia again. Just so you guys know. Hi, Matt. Hi, Glenda. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to go live or not, but I need to. I need to talk about what's happening. And it's pretty crazy out there, you know. Shooting or an aircraft supposedly. I don't know what Facebook's doing that. Sorry to you. But there was a Cessna jet, of course, today. A private plane, you know, that flew over restricted airspace near the Capitol before crashing in Virginia. It was registered to a Florida business owner. Or, of course, scrambled jets to intercept the plane, but despite repeated attempts to get the pilot's attention, including flares, there was no response. They're stating that this was a crash, and this is what we know so far. That it was a Cessna 560 Citation V plane that was spotted as it flew near the Capitol region this afternoon, or yesterday afternoon. The U.S., of course, Capitol complex was briefly placed on an elevated alert as the airplane left the area. The F-16 fighter jet was scrambled to intercept the plane. The pilot never responded to attempts to establish, of course, communications. They're saying that the plane crashed into the mountain terrain, but who knows if that's actually what happened? Because the plane all of a sudden just started dropping at a rate of more than 30,000 feet per second. Not going to say anything else. Yeah, it happened. Well, they're not talking about who it was yet, but from what we know, there are prominent residents of Brevard County, John and Barbara Rempel, which are the owners, of course. So, we know John was on the plane. His entire family were on the plane, including his daughter and a 2-year-old granddaughter, and her nanny, and the pilot. So, they were returning from their home in the East Hamptons after visiting him in North Carolina, of course. Sad. Sad. Yeah, you would do that if you were shot down. Yeah. The thing is, he was a very big member of the NRA, and affiliate with him as well. We don't know the truth about what happened. They're not going to say if he was shot down or not. They're going to say that he wasn't at any cost, let's be honest. I mean, flying over DC, though, you really take that risk. You really do take that risk. So, sad as that sounds, I mean, the flight path that he was taking looked like a direct flight path. It was a pilot that was flying the plane, so we'll see what happens and see what comes out of the investigation, but I don't think we'll find out much. It seems like the flight plan was previously filed, so as crazy as that sounds. Of course, the U.S. dollar falls after weak service data this week. This is just beginning. So, of course, today, the service sector barely grew in May, and new orders slowed, of course, causing the strong job growth numbers to be in question. But watching what's happening, service industry and every other industry starting to now slow its growth at a dramatic pace is a problem. Not just a problem for regular Americans, but a problem for everybody. Not only that, U.S. banks could face a capital hike, as much as 20% of the new rules being proposed by U.S. regulators as part of a global effort to homogenize capital requirements. That's right, a global effort. Yeah, Iran's not the only country. We'll get into that in a minute. A person familiar with the matter said today, U.S. regulators, led by the Federal Reserve, expected to unveil the proposed tougher requirements at the end of this month, according to sources. Of course, they're speaking on condition of anonymity. But this is sad. So this means it's going to cost American people more money to even take out loans or bridge the gap that they're already facing hectic rates for because U.S. interest rates are so high. And that's making U.S. loans getting longer. And it's going to become forever debt at this rate. As consumers are facing high asset prices and rising interest rates and fewer loan options, buyers of homes and new cars might be better off waiting. But if you must go ahead, you're either facing a big monthly payment or stretching out a loan to an extremely long term, try to keep the monthly bill down, as many are doing. I mean, new car loans are lasting 84 months. It's crazy. Borrowing at that long rate, at the high interest rates that we're paying now, you're almost paying twice the price for a vehicle. Yeah, a lot of people being unalived. Homeowners, of course, are straining to pay their federal housing mortgages because, of course, those are not fixed, or the FHA loans are not fixed rates; they're variable rates. And many are extending their loans to 40 years or more to reduce payments. It's pretty sad. Watching this, of course, all happen. Even JP Morgan now is flagging signs of the emerging de-dollarization. De-dollarization is unfolding in a global economy. Strategies at the biggest U.S. banks, although the currency should maintain its long-held dominance, at least for now. The strain of the steep U.S. interest rates and sanctions across frozen Russian assets of global banking have seen a fresh push by the BRICS nations as more people are joining them to challenge the dollar's capabilities. I mean, China is no longer buying goods from people that only accept U.S. dollars. This is a problem. It's sad. The overall usage within the dollar usage within the historical range, the greenbacks remains at the top of the pack still, but it's not. Nowhere near where it used to be. A closer look shows more bifurcated picture. Her assessment on the dollar at the most high profile of the U.S. banks so far, although heavyweight money management, are having similar views. U.S. dollar, of course, obviously shedding its value as less people want to touch it. And other areas are seeing erosion as well with U.S. trade. I mean, for inference, central banks around the world have lowered their U.S. dollar holdings by 58%. This is a problem. Yeah, they were holding Nazi flags in the beginning, Glenda. Yeah, I don't know about the intact UFO thing. We're hearing stories, but no truth at this point. And it's showing the U.S. economy is having struggles as Walmart is standing to shutter 23 locations. 23 locations in 12 states so far. I mean, 4 in Chicago alone, obviously, because crime rates. But this problem with crime rates isn't just that problem. The job cuts are going to include more than 2,000 people losing jobs. I mean, it's crazy. That's just the warehouses that are closing. 5 warehouses. I mean, bidding for Wells to seeing 23 retail locations across the USA, citing poor financial performance. Well, that's the question. Watching one of the biggest retailers around the world now falling globally. It's sad. People need to open up their eyes. This is happening. We're seeing more and more bigger brick and mortar stores having worse and worse times trying to stay afloat. Number of stores closing. It's going to be drastic. So watching this come forward. And the BRICS nations, I mean, they're raging against the U.S. dollar. And the exercise of futility is coming true. Talk of common currency displacement, the greenback, is slowly and surely happening. Even though the US dollar is the most traded dollar still, and still has a very big lead, the world reserve currency is under attack. As we're watching more groups join the BRICS nation. Now, of course, Iran switching to only trade or not trade in the US dollar. Saudi Arabia joining in the group with that as well. Saudi Arabia is welcoming Venezuela, reaching out to yet another U.S. foe. As we watch these oil giants like the UAE and Saudi Arabia welcoming Venezuela, I mean, these oil-rich kingdoms engaging in a fury of diplomacy against the U.S. This can have serious complications to us in the near future, and it's going to get worse. As Saudi Arabia has been close to the U.S., or close U.S. ally for decades. The relationship has been strained in recent years, and we're seeing now that they want to destroy the relationship altogether. They're restoring relationships with Iran and Syria and everywhere else, both seen as pariahs in the West. I mean, this is crazy. There are leaks on it, of course, and Russian officials being talked to directly by Saudi Arabia shows that the incompetence of the U.S. is growing. It's sad. Extremely sad. And then we got U.S., of course, trying to say that we're causing the problem. But yet, the White House makes a statement like this: someone may get hurt by Chinese military aggression. The White House, of course, said in a statement today that Chinese and the Taiwan Strait and South China Sea reflect growing aggression by Beijing's military, raising the risk of an error that's when someone gets hurt. Basically, that's what you say to somebody you're angry with and you want to hurt them. That's a vital threat, even though you say it's not. That's basically, here's what the White House says: it won't be long before someone gets hurt. So if me and Joe Schmo over here are fighting, and I say, well, if you keep messing with me, it's not going to be long until one of us gets hurt. It means I want to hurt you. And the U.S., of course, directly saying that without directly saying it. I mean, this is an unsafe interaction. We can't say that China was unsafe with a warship crossing in front of a U.S. destroyer in technically Chinese waters, even though we want to call it international. And then make a statement like it won't be long before somebody gets hurt. That's unprofessional. At this point, it won't take much for an error in judgment or a mistake to get made. I'm sure, of course, the U.S. would love that, to get into a war and be able to eliminate a lot of national debt. But the U.S. continuing to stand up for the freedom of navigation of air and sea, claiming that all these are international waters, even though they're highly contested, even by international courts, of whether this waterway is international. Yeah, wait till China stops exporting. China stopped importing already. China's cutting their imports drastically, if you guys haven't realized this over the last couple months. Their imports have fallen drastically, not because they can't buy certain things, it's because they do not want to at this point. They're trying to close themselves off like they did before, and they're closing themselves off to everybody but BRICS nations. So once they decide to stop selling to us, if they take Taiwan, or even if Taiwan gets destroyed, the U.S. will not survive. Let's be honest, we're a country that requires technology for everything we do. We're a technocratic society. And watching this happen is disastrous. Only gets worse day by day. Saying that we're trying to defend Taiwan is a joke. We're trying to defend ourselves from losing more. Of course, that keeps happening. And it's going to keep happening because we keep pushing and poking everybody and anybody we can. As far as we're concerned, we're the supreme leaders of the world, whether we want to admit it or not. That's what our government thinks we are. Thinks we control everybody else. Of course, Ukrainian forces are making a major effort to push Russia's defensive lines in the southeast of Ukraine today, for the second day. Of course, the U.S. is denying this, saying it's an unverified claim, as Russian military defense minister asserted that foiled an assault on another illegal annexation of a region of the invading country. Because these places have already voted to leave. I mean, Kiev, of course, suggests the attack reports were a Russian misinformation ruse as Ukraine military prepares for a widely anticipated counteroffense. But I think it's the truth. I think Russia thwarted Ukrainian attacks and then annexed province. And I don't think Ukraine wants to admit it, or the U.S. I mean, Kiev, of course, is accusing Moscow of spreading misinformation, but they've been doing that all along. They said that they didn't disperse these butterfly mines all over the place, all over city streets where children could get injured. But we know we already have verified information. They did do that. Ukraine did do that. All over their own cities. They signed a treaty stating they would not use mines, period. U.S. and Russia have not. But using them in their own cities, where their own citizens are, to stop a force from going forward, is the utmost of irresponsibility. Ukrainian officials can lie and plead and bargain and say whatever they want, but the truth is the truth. And I believe Russia did end up messing up their major offense that they were going to start, as Russian forces thwarted the Ukrainian attacks on the province today. I mean, the enemy's goal was to break through the defense, or Ukraine's goal was to break through the defense, the most vulnerable, in its opinion, sector of the front. The enemy did not achieve that task. It had no success. So now they're claiming it never happened? That they didn't have a massive push and Russia was able to counter it easily, creating high expectations that they won't achieve success or a significant advance against Russian occupiers. Ukraine could risk losing international support over this if it comes out. And that's what it's really about. That's the reason the U.S. government wants to say, oh, Russia's pushing propaganda. This never happened. You know, Richard, if you message my private page, I'll add you on the list to get a message for when we go live. But this is crazy. I truly believe that this happened. I verified or not, we know there's been heavy fighting in the region that they're talking about in the last 2 days. But the enemies that, or the U.S. or Ukraine, let's face it, it's the U.S. weapons. The U.S. and Ukraine threw the biggest force into the attack yesterday in an attempt to break through the front line. The large-scale and organized attack that did not succeed. It could not move forward. I mean, Ukrainian military movements have been hardened at every side, or stopped at every side, even losing their last battleship. I mean, Ukraine's got nothing left. They have to cut through land corridors to try to get to Crimea, which Moscow annexed in 2014. Let's face it, that's Russia's land now. When people are voting to leave Ukraine and join Russia, yes, Canada's still burning. Yeah, the jet that crashed, the story didn't add up at all. This is crazy. Parts of Ukraine have voted Even international court, or even the international community has realized that the vote wasn't forced, but yet they still want Ukraine to keep pushing. No NATO nation at this point wants to go ahead and say, well, let's just go for peace. You know, Zelensky at one point was ready to give up the property he's already lost and sign a peace deal, but he was pushed by the West, NATO, US, to keep fighting. Countless lives are being lost over territory that Ukraine itself has been attacking since 2014 when no Russian forces were fighting. So for 6 years, these people have been hammered and attacked by Ukrainian special forces within their own country because they wanted to continue speaking Russian, because they believed it in Russia. This is crazy. We know that. We went through the whole group with the Azov group. We've shown that even their Warhammer has Adolf Hitler on it. There's no way you can say that it doesn't happen. It didn't happen. They're not Nazi sympathizers. It's obvious at this point. I mean, and having us be strategic communications for the armed forces of Ukraine, it's just a joke. At this point, every aspect of the war in Ukraine, between communications, weapons, counteroffensives, everything that's there is NATO now, which is the US. Russia's fighting this war directly while we're fighting it as a proxy war. This counteroffensive that was supposed to be so big and glamorous that the whole world was waiting for, if this was the start of the counteroffensive, Russia's truly, which I believe they did, drove back this force without even trying, with airstrikes and, of course, artillery fire. I mean, it's going to be a daunting challenge for Kiev to even try to get any of the property back, much less they're going to end up losing more in the long run. I mean, Ukraine could try to launch simultaneous pushes in different areas and different fronts of that stretch, the 684-mile stretch. The problem is Russia just called up its full military force, and it's not even up yet. That happened last week. If we see Russia call up their 30 or more than 36 million people into armed forces, that's more than the population of Kiev. Or billion. Yeah, million. 34 million people. That's more than the population of Ukraine. I believe, I don't know what the actual population of Ukraine is, but it's got to be close. – 43 million people total live in the Ukraine. So 43 million, we know there's at least 10 million that left already. So that means they have 33 million people total in Ukraine, maybe, right now. Russia's military force will be absolutely devastating if they do fully call up their people. As Russia stands with 143 million people in total, and they're calling up more people than they did in World War II, which was 34 million. They will have more population, more soldiers than citizens in Ukraine. Yeah, there's tons going on in Ukraine. Yeah, it's a political cycle. It's a money wash cycle. Even the weapons that go there don't even end up there. It's as sad as it sounds. And here's the thing. In 2021, Ukraine's population was 43 million people. Today, Ukraine's population is 36 million people. That's including people in foreign nations as we speak. That's including the population that is not there, that has in refugee status in other countries temporarily while the war is happening. People need to wake up. Ukraine doesn't stand a chance. Let's be honest. It's a money pit that we're throwing money in, and it's not going anywhere. The weapons are ending up in our neighbors. I mean, we shouldn't have to look down south of us and see weapons that were sent to Ukraine and Mexico in the hands of the cartel. The cartel is going to be stronger than the U.S. military at some point. Because the U.S. military is going to run out of weapons sending them to Ukraine, and guess what? The cartel is going to have most of them. Now we're sending Abrams tanks. So what? Russia's going to have Abrams tanks now to research and figure out exactly how every aspect of Abrams tank, because we're giving them to Ukraine. F-16s, we're giving them to Ukraine, so Russia now can get an F-16 and research how to counteract our new radar systems that we're putting in the F-16s that we're sending there. It's a joke. People need to wake up. People need to wake up. And it's serious. It is getting serious out there. Every day we're looking at more and more of this happening, and it's not getting any smaller or any slower. Sad as it is. More whistleblowers coming forward, of course. And saying that the U.S. has alien craft for sure. You guys were talking about that on Fox News. But we haven't seen the alien craft. I came out and made comments on stuff that I do not know directly involvement, but this is crazy. People need to wake up. If you're not awake yet, you need to wake up now, because stuff is happening, and it is happening fast. And it's going to continue to happen fast. I'm glad that you guys are here with us. I'm blessed to have you guys. I appreciate everything you guys do for us. This coming weekend, to let you guys know now, I will not be online for the 9th and the 10th. So I'll see you guys Wednesday, but that'll be it until next Monday. I'll be going to see my kids. But if you guys can afford to support the channel, please do. We definitely appreciate that a lot. God bless you all. God bless America. Please stay safe out there. I mean, the craziness that is happening day by day, no matter what we seem to do, doesn't seem to get any better. Our government doesn't care about what citizens want. We don't know when Grandpa's coming home yet. He just went this morning, so I'll give you guys an update Wednesday. But God bless you guys. God bless America. Of course, if you guys can afford to support it, donate, please do. Definitely appreciate it. For now, good night.